Hey, how's it going? Welcome back, guys. We are going to be doing a timeless reading. I wanted to hop on again because there is still so much going on astrologically and just in general. We did just come out of the eclipse and it's been very intense, heavy energy. Everybody is feeling this differently, some people more than others. Before I get into any of that, if you don't want to see any of the astrology stuff, I'm going to have it timestamped in the comments. And you can just go right onto the tarot portion and you won't have to go through the astrology stuff. But I am, as per the usual, I'm going to have the charts and the transits right next to me. And let's go ahead and tap in. So, something that I've been seeing a lot around social media has been a grand water trine. Excuse me. If you know anything about trines are essentially energies working together, but there's the ability for those to almost overtake it. It's like an enmeshment kind of energy. From what I was looking at on the chart as I'm doing this reading, we just came out of the trine. If you take a look at the chart, you're going to see that there is a perfect triangle formed. So when you have a grand trine of any kind, it's essentially when a trine is when there's a placement a transit 120 degrees away from another one, all of them forming an equilateral triangle. So you can see on the chart we have the moon Sagittarius. It was in Scorpio, but it just moved into Sagittarius. And we had that essentially trining Mars in Cancer and Mars trining, Neptune in Cancer. So we just came out of that extremely deep, emotionally watery energy. But given like we're in the first degree of moon being in Sagittarius, we're just now coming out of that, right? And so there's this massive energy between the moon, the Mars, and Neptune. And it's a deeply spiritual, it's like emotional purging is what I'm feeling with it. Specifically because they were all working together and creating this massive pressure of emotional energy coming out of this eclipse just with the full moon that we are still in. It's a very intense energy, right? Because the moon is technically ruled by, if I want to say it's ruled by Cancer, I'm pretty sure, and that's in itself a watery energy. Mars is ruled by Aries, but we currently have Cancer and Mars. And then we also have what we were just talking about, Neptune, which is in Pisces, right? And so we had every single water sign, right? We're just now coming out of it as I'm doing this reading, but we had Scorpio, Cancer, and Pisces. And I, as somebody who has all of those placements to a degree, I have mostly Scorpio placements. I do have a Scorpio stellium, very well versed in the Scorpio energy, which is why I like to talk about these things, because we just had a Scorpio full moon and I was in my element personally, and I just kind of wanted to use that to lead into my next point, and it's going to be different for everybody. Not everybody's going to feel these energies the same. And I really feel like this boils down to the amount of emotional processing and spiritual work you do on a regular basis, right? If you're somebody who waits until the last minute, until things just start to crumble, to start to make adjustments and face tough emotions, that's where this energy becomes a little bit harder to manage. But if you're somebody who is consistently doing the work, doing the shadow work, facing your emotions, not pushing them away, that's when this energy tends to become a little bit easier for you to navigate, given that it's going to be different and difficult in different ways for everybody else. All right, so let's go ahead. We've kind of talked about the trine a little bit, but we're pretty much out of the trine now at this point, that grand water trine. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the transits. All right, so a lot of that Lilith energy that we were talking about yesterday is kind of moving out. We have one less square than we did yesterday. I'm really being drawn to Lilith trining Chiron, Lilith being your wounded dark feminine energy, Chiron being the wounded healer. All right, so this is really freaking intense time to do that shadow work. This is basically what we're in right now. That's eclipse season to me is essentially, it's like your ego eclipsing your soul in a sense. That's what it feels like to me. It's all of these really big revelations and realizations about your love life, your career, your own inner world, your external world, and it's a really good time for you to find a way to bond with other people through inner compassion. And what I mean by that is not necessarily going out of your way to bond with people, but by understanding the depths of your emotions, that allows you to find compassion for everybody's experience, regardless of the situation. So, for example, if this is in some kind of love or relationship, and you're having issues with your partner, maybe they're just going through a tough emotional time and you don't quite understand what they're going through on an emotional level. You can conceptualize it, but you don't actually have that emotional intelligence. Not that you don't have the emotional intelligence, there's a word I'm looking for. You don't have the experiential knowledge of what they're going through emotionally. You may not have had that experience before. This kind of energy is what allows you to understand that on a deeper level without actually living through it. And on that note, this is also touching on how this may be a little bit easier for you to navigate if you've learned these lessons before. And so you may be seeing people going through things that you have already gone through, or you may be watching people struggle in ways that you used to struggle. And that's not to say that you're any higher or lower than anybody else, but it is to recognize that you have grown a lot. And I know I usually touch on a lot of different transits, but today's energy with the Grand Water Trine coming out of the eclipse, and just in particular Lilith trining Chiron, that's just the main message that's coming through for me. It's really deep emotional energy. I know for me personally, I felt great yesterday. I felt fantastic. I know other people around me were not feeling as good. And today I was feeling the energy starting about last night, probably when the trine was going on, the Grand Water Trine, up until pretty much I decided to do this reading, which is why I wanted to hop on, because I know that this energy can be difficult. It can be very emotional. It can be very tough to work through. And a lot of the times it's hard to pinpoint an exact moment or issue or emotion because there's so many different things that are coming into play, right? I'm going to actually leave it there. That was really all I kind of wanted to touch on. I mean, the only other thing that I'm seeing here that's catching my eye is Moon Quincunx Venus, and that's the separation between the emotions and your love life. To me, Venus is a fourth house energy, and I have my Taurus Venus in the fourth house, right? And we are currently, Venus is in Gemini. I don't know what house it's in. I haven't really looked. On the chart, I'm not really like great with the houses at this point. I don't make that my main focus. I will probably do more research on that before I speak on it, because I don't want to just speak on things I don't know too well. Aside from the points, Moon Quincunx Venus, we've talked about before. That's about 150 degree separation. That is the separation between energies. There's like a this and there's a that. There's this kind of, it's like the emotions and your experiences aren't aligning with what you're seeing in the physical, right? And I feel like that has a lot to do with the fact that there is this retrograde energy that we are moving through. I mean, we are just now in Pluto retrograde, and we are also in Mercury retrograde, coming out of the Mercury retrograde here in a few weeks. So it won't be much longer Pluto retrograde until about July, we talked about last reading. Yeah, so again, don't be so hard on yourself. Don't be so hard on other people. Learn to give people the benefit of the doubt. Understand everybody's going through their own struggles. And it's not anybody's place to say who should or shouldn't feel the way they feel. If people feel a way, or if you feel a way, that's valid and is something that you should acknowledge, right? I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. I have it timestamped in the comments if you decide you do not want to see this, but you probably would have already seen this anyways. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started into the tarot portion. If you want to book a personal reading, listen to the extended videos, or listen to my music, all of that is in the description. I will never contact you for a reading in any way, shape, or form. The only way to book a reading with me is to DM me on Instagram or send me an email. And I just wanted to say how much I appreciate you guys, man, and I love you guys so much. And thank you for being patient with me as I take my breaks and as I go off and kind of do my own thing for a little bit. Sometimes I just need to kind of recuperate my own energy just based off of just everything going on in general. Eclipse season is always very intense for me personally. So yeah, I'm feeling a lot more energized. I'm just ready to hop back into doing readings more often if I can. I'd like to do so. So yeah, I don't really see a reason not to at this point. But yeah, man, let's hop in. Let's see what we have. So I give thanks to my guides, angels, and ancestors for any messages that want to come through for us today. We are starting out using the Ethereal Visions Luna Edition deck. We currently have the Ace of Swords that just popped out on us. so bottom of the deck we have the Knight of Wands. All right, we got a few cards here. We have the Page of Swords. We have the Knight of Cups. We have the Moon. And we have the Ace of Swords. Right? So, as a starting energy here, just touching on the Knight of Wands, I feel like there's this desire to move forward. There's this desire to really move things quickly. I'm just now looking at the transits where sometimes, if you're new to the channel, I do also kind of use the transits along with the tarot as I'm doing this. Yeah, and basically what I'm being drawn to is Mars squaring Jupiter, and this is what this feels like to me. Mars being ruled by Aries, Aries being a fire sign. This can also be seen as a fire energy. It is the Wands. And to me, it looks like there's the desire to move forward, but there are still a lot of things that aren't being seen, and I feel like that's just there's a need to let things move in their own way. Very similar energy to yesterday, kind of expanding off of that energy. It's essentially just allowing things to move in their own pace. It's just making sure that you're not making decisions without knowing the full truth, making sure that you're not doing or saying anything that's really out of character based on maybe you just being triggered. I feel like there are a lot of deep emotions here in this situation. This does feel like some kind of romantic situation I'm tapping into. This could be something where you may be involved with somebody, but you're not really communicating about this, right? This is what I'm seeing. We're going to take a look at these cards here. So we have Ace of Swords, Knight of Cups, and the Page of Swords. The emotions are there, the desire to move forward with those emotions are there, but it's not being talked about. This is very similar energy we got on the Instagram video, or I guess the short video, because you'll see it as a short. Which, by the way, if you do watch the shorts, if you can go to the actual video, I put channel messages in the description. The ones that I write out on Instagram, they're in the description on the YouTube shorts. So just in case you are wondering, yeah, they're there. But not being talked about. There are emotions there, there's a desire there, but for whatever reason, it's not being shown. It's being hidden, and I don't feel like it's being hidden at the behest of being malicious. There's no malintent. I don't feel like that's the case here. I'd like to dig into why. Why exactly are things being hidden in such a way? Can we please get some clarity on this, Spirit, please? Okay. All right, so we have the King of Swords. We have the Page of Cups. We have a lot of page energy today. And then we have the Lovers. Okay. So clarifying energies as to why things are being hidden the way they are. I feel like that's because a decision hasn't been reached. I feel like somebody hasn't really made the choice to do or not do something. I feel like it's just kind of up in the air. I feel like there's no clear-cut path as to how this is going to play out for you. And that's just the nature of love and relationships in general. I mean, energy is always changing, man. Time and energy are fluid. We can one day sit down and say, I want to be with this person for the rest of my life, but then something can happen tomorrow where it makes you question everything, you know? And I feel like that's the energy I'm seeing here. I feel like there's just things, there's like divinely orchestrated events that are playing out that are helping either you and or this person reach some sort of consensus internally before moving externally. Yeah, let's go ahead and clarify this. What exactly is this decision here that needs to be reached? Full at the bottom of the deck. Whether or not to take the risk, kind of evaluating the pros and cons, whether or not this risk is worth the reward kind of energy. Yeah, so what's going on here with this, because the King of Swords could be a person. Page of Cups could also be a person. This could be a decision between two different people. Yep. Yeah, we have the Four of Wands at the bottom of the deck. I feel like there is some sort of decision that has to be made between two. Oh my god. We got the Two of Pentacles and we have the Two of Swords. So that's definitely juggling energy. Two of Swords is usually a really big decision. Oh, you look at that little crescent moon. I haven't seen that in this deck. That's kind of cool. Big decision that needs to be made. This person is essentially keeping their cards to themselves. I don't feel like this person is revealing everything, right? I feel like this person is really focused on just going within. I mean, you see the blindfolds. This person isn't looking to the external for validation or to make this decision. I feel like this is the energy that you both may be embodying. I feel like this has to do with some sort of divine union. I don't personally resonate with telling you that this is or isn't your person. That's going to be for you to determine. I can't tell you that this is your twin flame or your soulmate or karmic or whatever. We use these terms for so many different reasons. Aside from the point, you will know if somebody is right for you, and I feel like that's what this period of time is being used for. That's why we're in this retrograde. That's what Pluto is trying to show us, and this is what Mercury is trying to show us. These retrogrades, I don't see them as bad things. I see them as ways for us to slow down, to give time for things to move in a different way. It's a good opportunity to completely change your perspective on how you even view love and relationships. And I feel like this connection, either you or this person have changed each other's way of looking not only at each other but at relationships as a whole. When these types of connections come in, keep in mind we tend to read for divine connections here. We don't normally tap into toxic energies, or those don't really come through in our readings. If they ever do come through, we don't stay on them for long, but we don't normally have that come up in our readings, right? And that's kind of what I'm seeing. When these types of connections come into your life, it's going to get you to look at what you saw happiness as beforehand, right? It's going to completely change your perspective on what actually makes you happy, and you're going to be questioning whether you're actually happy where you are. And I feel like this is this person here questioning. I mean, if this isn't you having to make a decision between two people, this is the person you're dealing with having to make a decision between whether they're happy where they're at now and possibly thinking about going in another direction, right? Page of Cups, Two of Swords, Two of Pentacles, King of Swords, and the Lovers here. It's an entire decision, and I feel like it's really internal. With the King of Swords, that's really mental energy to me. This is somebody who is going back and forth trying to weigh the pros and cons about whether or not this is something that could work. So if you're not seeing any kind of movement, or if you know there's a connection there and somebody's maybe pulling back, and and it's really unexpected, it doesn't always mean this person hates you or anything. I really don't feel like that's the case with these cards. To me, it just feels like somebody who is really trying to get in touch with their emotions and trying to balance that mind and the heart, again with the Page of Cups and the King of Swords. With all these twos and the Lovers, this to me feels like somebody who they feel one thing but their mind is telling them another. And I'm seeing an incongruence here because it's Page and King. If these are both kings, I would see that as somewhat balanced. But I feel like there's a little bit of emotional immaturity, or there's a lack of emotional intelligence, or just a general lack of experience that's preventing this meeting of the heart and the mind within you or this person. Let us get some advice on this energy here. I'm going to go ahead and pull. We're going to use the Hieronymus Bosch. We're going off what we did yesterday. I'm feeling pulled to the Hieronymus Bosch deck. If you don't know, by the way, the Hieronymus Bosch deck is essentially this dude, if you can see. It's this dude from back in the day. He made a huge painting, or he just did a number of paintings. And the person who made this deck, they basically took little pieces of each of the painting and put them into cards. You can actually find the paintings, and you go look at the paintings, and you can see all of these cards in different areas, and they're all connected, and they're really weird, and it doesn't make sense. That's why I like this tarot deck. I really like this deck, so let's go and hop in. Advice here, clarity on the situation. Like, what's going on here? Like, I feel like I want to know, like, what's preventing this meeting in the mind and the heart? What's holding this person back, or what is holding you back, or what is creating stagnancy where there otherwise looks like there should be motion? Yep, we got this yesterday. Bottom of the deck we have death. Something just needs to come to an end. I feel like some cycle or old relationship, old way of thinking, something that needs to come to an end. And I feel like there's fighting going on about this. Sin of wrath. I feel like there are arguments happening between, doesn't feel like it's you and this person. It says anger, rage, inability, incompetence, and conflict. There's arguments going on about this ending here. Somebody's just not really even... Either that, if that's not the case, this could also be somebody who's just having a hard time accepting the fact that either you or this person want to come together, right? We also have Baron of Books. This is like a bad contract. Again, I feel like this is somebody around you or your person that it says sexual indiscretions, adultery, and misuse of power. Somebody here who is being manipulative, trying to get into the middle of things. Table of Plenty. This could be a family member. Success, food, rewards, and capitalisms could also just be somebody who's really busy with work. We have Ace of Berries. It says harmony among all living things, happiness, and joy. So, given the fact that we tried to clarify who or what is getting in the middle or creating stagnancy, and it looks like it's somebody connected to either you or your person. So if you're not experiencing this, this could be somebody in your person's life that is just trying to drag them down, trying to create unnecessary conflicts, trying to just get in the way of them interacting with you in some way. Whether or not that's romantic or otherwise, it looks like there's somebody or some people that aren't really happy about that. And I feel like because this relationship and relationships like these often cause people to see everybody else in their life differently, and by way of that naturally start to show up differently. This can look like not interacting as much. This can look like cutting people off completely. There's a lot of different ways that can play out. Think about times when that's happened to you and understand that this may be something the person you're dealing with is going through if this isn't you, right? Regardless though, some kind of major cycle that needs to come to a close, and I feel like this is involving a lot of other people. Given we're all connected, there's an interconnectedness within our relationships, and there's a sense of interdependency when it comes to how we're connected to other people. This is essentially allowing things to come to, I feel like they're like just things coming to light. You know what I mean? All of these, as this moon energy we saw earlier comes out, as all of this stuff is being brought up from the depths through this eclipse, end of the eclipse season, this grand water trine, all of these deep emotional realizations about our life and our blessings and our goals and our values and how this all intertwines into how we're moving in our life and relationships. That's what's causing these major upheavals in either your or their or both of your lives. And it doesn't always have to be other people. This can just be internal. And look at the way in which you're perceiving the world around you. It's like really being aware of how you're perceived and how you are perceiving others, right? I'd like to get some final advice on this energy here. Any final advice on how to manage this here, spirits, or anything you have for us that wants to come through? Okay, whoops, I almost dropped my whole deck. Anyways, the bottom of the deck we have the Grail Knight. A very gruesome card. It says Blaze of Glory, Trickery, Danger, Failure, Honor, and Courage. The story of this card, the Grail Knight, it has to do with the Holy Grail, and this is a failed quest to get the Holy Grail, basically. And we got a few cards. Let's see if we can get through these in time. We have the King of Coins. We have the Page of Berries. We have Sin of Greed, and then we have the Knight of Swords, which is actually a successful quest for the Holy Grail, which is why I think it's funny, because these two cards are directly related, right? This is the positive aspect, and this is the negative aspect of the Holy Grail journey. So, as a final advice, I feel like Spirit is just letting you know that, I feel like there's... How do I even put this? It's something where I feel like you have the opportunity here to help somebody. And I feel like as an advice, you may be able to help this person overcome these difficulties. You may help them see the truth of the people around them. But more than anything, this to me feels like people are seeing you differently. These are people that I feel like looked at you this way, thought you were going to fail, thought you were going to never amount to whatever it was you were going to amount to. But the fact of the matter is you're proving them wrong, because you're on your quest here. You're on your quest, and I feel like that's just attracting people that may not always have your best interest. As you expand your light, a lot of the times that's going to attract a lot of different things, and not everything attracted to you is for you. Remember, that's why we talk about discernment and talking about self-reflection so much, especially with this type of energy. There may be people that are a little greedy. There may be people who they want your help, but they can't do anything for you, or they have no intention of doing anything for you, right? Really weird to have as like an advice energy, because this is technically supposed to be advice, and it just seems like we're kind of getting insight into the types of people that may be trying to get in the way of this kind of energy, or these things trying to come in, these blessings. I feel like it's just triggering a lot, and I feel like not a lot of people expected you to make it through what you made it through. To me, it feels like not a lot of people really thought you were going to be who and where you are now. And it's causing a lot of people to, maybe feel away. And I feel like that's also a result of this relationship coming together. It's essentially just causing a lot of people to look at themselves and maybe not be so happy with where they're at. Has nothing to do with you, right? I think as a final advice, what we can take away from that is that has nothing to do with you. Keep doing you. You're glowing. People see it. This is attracting new love into your life, this new relationship we've been tapping into, attracted into your life because of that, but also to be wary of people that may come around because they are attracted to your light like moths to a flame, but they may not always have the best intentions. But I feel like that's not an issue for you. I feel like you have a small circle of friends, you've got a solid group, and it's not hard for you to determine whether or not people have your best interests in mind, right? I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. I am going to take this over to an extended today. If you want to watch the extended videos, listen to my music, or book a personal reading, all of that is in the description below. The only way to book a reading with me is to DM me on Instagram or send me an email. I will never contact you in any kind of way to book a reading, okay? I love you so much. I will see you on Patreon or in the next reading. Goodbye.